Howdy folks. Today I got a little bit of an interesting repair. Well, it's not even really a repair, it's a modification. So, a friend of mine who's a great bass player, he brought me this SWR head. I think it's an SWR. Yeah, it is. And made in USA. Solid unit. What we're going to do is we're going to take out the high frequency attenuator. That basically turns on your tweeter and turns off your tweeter and, everything in between. You got an internal speaker connection, which is it's not quite a 1/4 inch jack, and it's not quite a 3.5 mm jack. It's kind of in between. And it's got your external speaker output jack. And it's got fuses. It's got a fuse for your horn, and it's got a speaker fuse. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the two fuse connectors. What do they call these? Two fuse holders, sorry. We're going to take the external speaker connector and the internal speaker connector. Now, these are going to stay. However, I'm going to make this one a normal 1/4 inch jack and parallel it to that one. So you can have one 8-ohm speaker, one 4-ohm speaker, or two 8-ohm speakers. Okay. Now what's going to happen? That's not the end of it. That's only halfway. And that's the easy part. The hard part is going to be pulling the attenuator, the crossover frequency capacitor here, these wires going to the fuses as well as the jacks. All of that is going to come out and go into this little cabinet down here. Now I think this is I haven't even taken the cover off yet because I've been waiting for parts, but I think this is a 1x12 or 2x10. It feels like a 1x12. I could be wrong, but we'll find out soon. The other half of the story is that these components here, all of these, well, except these, I should say the fuse holders and the attenuator are going to go onto the back panel of this. And then we're going to put a speak-on connector on the back of this. I've bought myself a brand new Nutrix speak-on connector because I thought I had them in stock, but I did not. They were different. They were different to the ones I was expecting. So what's going to happen then is that the frequency attenuator will be on the back of the cabinet, just like a normal cabinet. These two fuses will go on the back of the cabinet, okay, which is rare these days, but most of the time newer cabinets these days use what's called a fusible link. You can if it blows, you can unplug it, and it kind of resets itself after a few minutes, and then you can plug it back in and reuse it again. And we're going to change this plug here to a normal 1/4 inch jack so that my friend can either plug into here or here, and off you go. So if that's something that interests you, stay tuned and watch for more. Alright, so far we've got this little odd jack out of the way. I've never seen one like this before, but it's sort of like, it's not a 1/4 inch, and it's not a 3.5 mil. Yeah, I'm going to measure it later and see what it is, but for now I just want to get things started. There's some writing in here. It just says Switchcraft though, which means it's at least good quality. Yeah, I've never come across that. If you know what it is, comment down below. Whew, let me tell you, this crossover circuit was not easy to get out of there. Looked easy, not easy. Couple of little traps. Obviously, taking these out will help, and I did in the end. You got to watch that capacitor because this little tag board is sort of sitting right next to it. You don't want to damage that capacitor because then you got to pull out this circuit board to fix that. You can see remnants of little hot glue or some sort of silicon glue there. That was all holding this down. You can see a bit of the remnants there, and on the inductor there as well. So finally got this out. I've still got to wire this up so these jacks work. And look at all this room in the chassis, which is nice. But that was probably about half an hour's worth of work of getting this out without breaking anything, especially the inductor. All right, let's keep on trucking. Alrighty, folks. It doesn't look like I've got much done, but let me tell you, oh man, reverse engineering a bass amplifier just to go from a combo into a head and a cabinet, let me tell you, it's not easy. Well, you know, look, most of the time it is easy. The SWR specifically, this isn't easy because of the crossover circuit that was in here. That made life way more difficult. So anyway, I think I've got this wired up. So I'm going to double check everything before I flick this amp on. I'm just going to pop it into any old bass cabinet and see if it at least works. So what we should be getting now I have checked this switch, this internal speaker on-off switch, which is kind of nice, but kind of futile. So I'm just going to leave it on. I have tested it, so when I turn it off, I don't get any continuity up to the internal speaker jack, which is kind of nice. Now, because this is connected in parallel, basically, you're getting, how should I say it? You're getting so here it's got, you know, internal speaker, external speaker. This is irrelevant now. So what you want to do now is just go cabinet 1, cabinet 2. That's it. Okay. Or cabinet 1 and then daisy chain to the other cabinets and so on and so on. Okay. Making this second one futile. Now I'm going to double check my wiring for everything because I've wired this up. I've wired these connectors up roughly the same way they were before. That could be wrong. So I'm going to test things before I turn this on. All right, but I just wanted to update you and show you guys what I'm up to so far. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got it all hooked up. I've got a dummy load connected, 8 ohm, 100 watt. It's the best I can do. It is a 400 watt amp, but that's okay. You know, we're not cranking on this. All right, so I've got my oscilloscope set up here. I've got a 400 hertz sine wave going through, and I've got the input gain set low because of my signal generator is quite hot. So here's the master volume coming up. That's about, or nearly full. Okay, and I'll turn that down now. So I can turn the gain up on here, and you can see there gets quite big. Alrighty. The internal speaker switch still works. So here it is switched on. That's switched off. Switched on. Switched off. Switched on. So that's quite cool. That still works. That's kind of nice. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off. Something I did notice that's kind of weird though. Let me bring you up to the amp. Power is off. Power light's still on. I kind of freaked out when I first plugged it in. I was like, no, I haven't turned it on yet. And sure enough, look, so when I turn this on, okay, the light changes. It's kind of dim. And then when I flick it on, it goes bright. Weird. Anyway, I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to change the input to the other side to make sure that still works. Play around with the input gain and the master volume. Check the sine wave again, and then that means the amp is done, and that's basically part 1 of this. At this stage, we're about 2 hours in. So as you can see, this isn't a small job. Alrighty, so I've connected my speaker output into my dummy load on the external speaker output, just to check to make sure I've wired that correctly too. So let's go down to the oscilloscope. I've already got the input volume and stuff turned up, so, you know, there we go. So that's working fine. And basically the next thing we're going to do is get the cabinet. I'm going to pull the back panel off that, disconnect the speaker from it, and I have to start marking out where I'm going to be putting those fuse holders. I'm going to start marking out where I'm going to be putting the speak-on connector. Had to buy a brand new one, okay, because I didn't have one in stock. I thought I did, but I didn't. And this other stuff is for another project. Right, the next thing we have to do is pull this panel off, which looks like it's already custom made. And it's already got some missing screws. So that's how I found it. That's how I'm going to put it back. I don't know if I have matching screws, and maybe the owner still does. But we've already got this one input put in, which is fine. So I'm just going to do some planning, because I'm going to rip this out. I'm going to disconnect this panel. I'm thinking, let's put the fuses down the bottom, which to you is up top right now, because this is upside down, this cabinet. Two of the fuse holders down the bottom here. I reckon we get in focus, and let's do this better. We leave that one there. We're going to parallel a speak-on jack here, and I'll put the attenuator up here. Alrighty, folks. So this hole is in the center of the plate. So we're gonna just have to go off what this hole has been put into place in. This panel is 126 millimeters, give or take a hair, wide, which means half of that should be 63. There's 63, and if I put my edge on this side, you can see it comes out to about 2/3 of the way across the hole, and then if I put my edge on this side, it's about 2/3 into the hole. Sorry, 1/3 into the hole. So that's the center there, but they've put that there. So, all right, I'm going to have to start drawing lines and messing about. So this doesn't look at this angle, but basically that is center to the hole that already exists. And I'm going to put the plug right here. Nice punched hole there. That'll get my my drill bit started, and then I'll go in with the stepper drill and make a hole an appropriate size for the speak-on connector. This is pretty large. Okay, this somehow has to fit behind here. I'm rethinking my setup. Okay, the attenuator is going to have to go here. Otherwise, it's just going to be too close to those input jacks no matter where I go. So it's going to have to sit here. Now, we've also got, if you think about the case, the cabinet, it actually comes in a bit too. So you can't just have this. Let me go up the top view here. You can't have this sitting on the far edge. It's got to come in. And you see we're running, all of a sudden we've run out of real estate. Before it was just like, hey, yeah, put stuff here, put stuff anywhere. No. So we're going to have to rethink this again. I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting there. So this is a piece of stainless steel, which I'm not a machinist, you know, so it gets a bit hard to drill through. However, I'm getting there. So just to show you the progress so far, I've put in the attenuator. So that's your tweeter attenuater. Now I've riveted one side here, and I'm just pre-drilling this hole here to rivet the other side for this little tag board. I'm gonna hot glue this down. This thing is pretty well sort of situated here. I'm gonna re-hot glue this capacitor down because it's just sort of fumbling around. Or, as an alternative to make it more secure and not as deep into the cabinet, I may put it on top of this one and run a wire from here down to like one of these tags that aren't being used. Whoop, not that one. Maybe that one, because that's just going to that tag there. So, you know, I could probably just bring the terminal around to this part here and then run a little wire up to here. That'll tidy this up, and I won't need all this hot snot hanging around. The only thing I'll need to do is mount this, and I'll just put it directly onto here and press it down with some hot glue, with some silicone. And then it's a matter of freaking wiring it up. Oh, well, actually, no, it's not. I lie. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll have to put the 1/4-inch jack back here, but then, let me frame this right, the fuses are going to have to go up here, or, yeah, we're running out of space, because look at the back here. It's like half of it's already taken up by the attenuator. So, you got to be careful where you're putting things. I'm thinking maybe the speak-on cable goes here, and the two fuses can go here. To be honest, I'm not having fun drilling this. So, look, guys, I'll keep going because I have to. But this ain't fun. This isn't a fun one. It's hard work. I'm not a machinist. I'm not a drilling kind of guy. I'm not a metal worker. All right, more drilling here. So yeah, we got let me turn this music off before I get copyright infringement. All right, so this is where the center of our Nutrix speak-on connector is going to go. Let's get this drilled out. This is going to be fun. Again, I don't have all the right tools for this, so... I mean, I do... Look, these things come in really handy. Stepper drill bit. So I've measured the outside diameter of this barrel here. Basically, it's like 23.5 something mil. So what you have to do is... Get in focus. What you have to do is you'll probably have to go down to the 24 step. So I'm going to get this hole started, get it to about 9 or 10 mil. Okay, so what you do, best way to do this if you're at home and you don't have punches like me and you're not a machinist, you get a small drill bit to start your pilot hole. Then you go up a bit bigger, and then from this one, I think this is a 4 mil, 5 mil. This is like a 1.5 or whatever. So they're really thin, but you start slow. You don't rush it. Don't put pressure on it. When I get up to about 9-10 mil, then I'll use this sucker here, and this will make much shorter work of this. Now, like I said before, this is stainless steel. It's freaking hard to drill into. If this was just regular steel or aluminium, like butter, would have just gone straight through. My job would have been a lot faster, but this is taking a while. I've had to sharpen the drill bits a couple of times. I've ran downstairs to the garage and sharpened the drill bits, so that's made life a little bit easier, but this stuff is hard to get into. Now, I'm just having a quick look, a quick preview here at what I've done. So as I said, I've moved this capacitor over that was just hanging here. I've wired it in. Now, if you look... Okay, so I used a spare turret or a spare tag on this board here, and I've got it running here, and then over to ground where ground is, and this is really secure. I can pick this whole thing up. It's not going anywhere. I'll clean off this glue. I'm going to clean this off when I'm done, so right now I don't care about that stuff. I still have to hot glue this. I'm just going to save that till later, because it's probably going to break off while I'm handling it. I'm going to keep going. Alright, I thought I'd stop and just take a break, and I'm going to get some lunch in a minute. Well, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been working on this since 10 o'clock, and I can't charge a customer that much. Alright, ladies and gents, we're getting there. It's now 3:20, so, we've done wiring up. I'm going to show you the backside in a second, but what I've done, I've just put in a sine wave, 10,000 hertz. So I've got it down here on my oscilloscope. Okay, and I've got this turned all the way down, so the attenuation's all the way down. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to slowly increase the attenuation, and you can see it's working. Hey. Alrighty, so now I've got my oscilloscope. I'm just going to point you down here. I've just got one side to positive, one to negative. I'm going to hit the attenuator now, and we're expecting nothing to happen. Let's have a look. Nothing! That means everything's connected up appropriately. Alright, a little update here. So I've actually fitted this to the bass amp, to the bass cabinet, plugged the bass amp in, tested it. Attenuator works, so everything that my oscilloscope said is basically working. I've tested the speak-on plug as well as the 1/4-inch jack. This is what it looks like on the inside. Now, I've got two things left to do, and that's fitting the fuse holders in here. Remember, the amp had a fuse for the woofers and the tweeters. There's a 10 amp fuse for the woofers and a 3 amp fuse for the tweeters. The only place I can see them fitting is here. I'm going to pre-drill 2 holes here, and I'm going to measure the diameter of these, and then I'm going to solder them into place. Now, I've already gone ahead and wired this, so there's going to be a little bit of unsoldering and rewiring, but that's not a big deal. A tiny bit of wiring left and we're all done. She bit me. Alrighty, we are done. Ha! Yes. So, fuses are in, all wired up. Oh, man, this has turned into a epic modification. This is what the panel looks like. Now let's plug it in, and we'll test the amp out probably tomorrow. Done.